Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Building 341 with DJ Rubber Band and Caddy B. We in the house, y'all. And we just on a vibe. We just on a chill vibe today. We got a special guest in the house tonight. He goes by the name of Pops, Phil. He's from West Oakland. He's performed with a lot of famous people over the years. He's toured internationally. He got groupie stories he can't tell us because it's PG. You know, we all PG. You know, I really wanted him to tell me about some of the midgets from the 70s, but he ain't telling none of that about the midgets, you know.
Which one?
See, there you go.
I'm sorry.
See? So, Caddy, you want to ask Pops a question?
Yeah.
So, Rubber Band was saying blues and all kinds of Bay Area artists. What's your favorite genre that you listen to now?
Ooh, see, that's a hard question. The most
We only got 38 minutes.
But
we only got 38 minutes, Pops.
The most honest answer I can give is that I get this question asked by a lot of people, and I've been that person who is like so much of any types of music. I'm talking soul, funk, R&B.
Can you just tell us Donny Hathaway?
That's one. That style is one. That style is one. But so was the Grateful Dead. So was Grace Slick. So was Hendrix. So was the Isley Brothers, who, by the way, Hendrix used to play guitar with the Isley Brothers back in the day. You know?
So,
in fact,
who's your favorite, though?
Wait a minute. In fact, I got to say this one thing, is that it reminded me that Jimi Hendrix convinced Ernie Isley to play guitar instead of playing drums.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Ernie Isley played drums on a lot of those tunes, Fight the Power and stuff back in the day. That's just a side note. But I've liked a lot of different groups. Like, when the Beatles came out.
Do you feel like you can't give us a direct answer? What's your instrument of choice? I know you play multiple instruments, but what's your instrument of choice?
Instrument of choice is probably guitar. I play more of it. I mean, I didn't do that all the time because I played saxophone, trombone, and especially back in the 70s, in the late 60s.
Look
and
at
70s,
you bragging.
In R&B.
Your groupie numbers was way up back then.
It was when R&B bands. I was playing. It was horn bands. It was like you had your rhythm section. You had 2 or 3, 4 horns, and I played baritone sax and trombone in the funk band, and then morphed over into guitar.
Now I'm gonna ask you the question again. Who's your favorite artist right now? Who you listening to? Mac Dre, he from the Bay. You from the Bay? Johnny Guitar Watson, you play the guitar. Did you like Johnny Guitar?
Oh yeah. No, I liked all these guys. But again, there's so many of them. I've got
you ain't giving me one, Pops.
And I may not be able to because I've got too much. No.
We're not gonna live on that one.
Because I've got too much respect and coming through with all these guys. I can name a guy by the name of Carl Lockett that you've never heard of, but the guy has played with Jimmy Smith. He's played with these big anybody who's anybody.
Who's the first person you met professionally that really scared you that you played with? Like when you said, dang, I'm really playing with Johnny Guitar Watson. Like I remember for me going to a show, and sometimes this is how it happened as being a musician. You go to a show and you're backstage and you see everybody, and then somebody goes, Rubber, why don't you MC the first act? And then I go up and I'm being me and I'm talking, and Snoop right there and Corrupt, and he come over and give me a pound, and I go out and I introduce Snoop, and everybody's like, oh, boy, you was Snoop. I'm like, I just introduced him. Because the industry is so, you know what I mean? And so I could use that. I can put that on my Wikipedia.
A lot of name dropping.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So for you, who was that you sat down and picked with, even though I can't make that comparable to yours, that you just... What about some of the Bay Area? Have you?
Well, I think it would be more of people that I came through with the Bay Area, like Confunction as an example.
So you came through with Confunction.
We all grew up together. They were out of Vallejo, we were out of Oakland. Just no different than hip hop being out of Vallejo or being out of Oakland. Confunction used to be called Project Soul back in the day, and I was with a band from Oakland, Emeryville called the Syndicate. But we all grew up there. Now what happens is, either both of the bands either go this way or maybe one of them, and then one fades away, and we faded away.
The same with hip hop.
But they also got the break because of Memphis, and something happened. Some record, somebody needed somebody. And they got with the right people, changed the name, and that's what happened. So, knowing them and then knowing the other people in the Bay Area, or being on shows with people like the Whispers, the other Bay Area bands, the Ballads, the Fabulous Ballads.
Now let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you a question because you said the Whispers. Mm-hmm. So it's a famous story about the Whispers. A lot of people thought the Whispers were from the Bay Area because they were so supported. They were so supported in the Bay Area. Right. And so when they made that famous song about your town, because one thing that the Bay Area was known for in the 70s was pimping and pandering. Right. And so I know you got some famous ones on that.
The Ward Brothers.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, see, give me a Ward Brothers story. But one of the famous stories I want you to speak on it was when they did that song Olivia, the pimps got mad.
Oh, now see, I don't even.
Because remember that song Olivia, look it up, by the Whispers. Olivia, it's a song about a woman selling her body and that she shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
Olivia. Okay. You know what I mean? And so they talk about it when they did they Unsung.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. Now the Whispers were from L.A.
But they was in the Bay a lot.
But see, what happened was Sly Stone was a DJ at KSOL Radio. Right. Okay, now he used to, in fact, Sly Stone had an old piano in the room, guitar. He was a late night, so he'd be playing and singing and stuff. But he brought them, supposedly, this is the story I heard, he had them come to Oakland. That's why we felt that they were from, most people think that they're from the Oakland. Now, in Oakland, we had several clubs. There was a guy, by the ex-basketball player by the name of Don Barksdale, who owned the club called the Showcase, and he owned the Sportsman's Club. And so anybody who's everybody, passed through these places. And you could see the Whispers there. You could see the Whispers or whoever. And so there were other clubs. There was Continental Club, even Motown, all the bus that you see pictures of. The whole
they would come to the Bay Area.
Come through the Bay Area.
They would come to the Bay Area.
Now during this time, also keep in mind. Now I'm talking kind of the R&B-ish kind of side of
Are
things.
we talking the 50s, 60s?
We're talking about early 60s that I remember.
Okay.
And then, but keep in mind, I'm talking about the R&B-ish side of things there. There was still
the early R&B.
Right. There was still this blues kind of, how do I want to say it? It was bluesy, not the down home
right
Delta stuff.
Yeah, it was more polished.
But you had Johnny Taylor and people like that. But you had people in like Richmond and stuff like that.
We got to turn you on to E.J. Jones. He sounds like Johnny Taylor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and see, that was
Gas Station Love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to turn you on to that.
So that was going on also in Richmond and Vallejo and Jimmy McCracklin and a lot of these guys. And then we had all the local groups, and a lot of us played
with each other
behind different people. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out. I was thinking about when I was thinking about it earlier. I said, one of what happens in some interviews sometimes is that we're focusing on the people here or the people who have ascended, and not because there's a lot of people who they weren't interested in ascending. They happen to be a guitar player who plays guitar behind so and so,
and they wanted a cool groupie.
That was their job. That was your job. So you never hear about these guys. Now, if you go to the people who are actually playing and who are in the scene, whether it's Michael Jackson or whether it's anybody, they say, "Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, he did this and did that." Mm-hmm. I mean, people don't know that. The guys from Toto and the guys from like Michael McDonald, all these cats were
Mm-hmm.
session guys. They were playing behind everybody. Eddie Van Halen, Michael Jackson's Thriller album, the Steve Lukather.
Well, since you won't just give me a direct answer,
can't do it.
You see what we doing?
Okay, let me
ask you.
Ask me. Give me.
See what I deal with?
Give me 5, and I'll give you 5.
Give me one. Give me one.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 5.
Okay.
My favorites of time.
Okay.
Isley Brothers, Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay.
Okay. Oh man, let's see. Okay, now I'll slip to just a Motownish thing, and with all due respect to all the groups. But if I had to say who is your favorite vocal group, it's the Temptations by far. Okay, just by far.
Does that have something to do with the instruments that you play or your vocals? Because you do
I think it's both.
Because you can sing.
I think it's both because
what do you sing in?
Oh, I never think about it, but I'm probably a tenor. For the most part. But because now during this time in the 60s, there was groups all out. Now you see the movies and they would do about groups on the corner and stuff like that. Mm-hmm, okay, now during the mid 60s, late 60s, there's groups out there trying to make it. They're trying to be like the Temptations. They're trying to do that.
You see how Pop's doing me? Pops, I want you to think about this. I want y'all to leave some messages on this. I want you to think about it. If you was in that movie, The 5 Heartbeats, which one would you be?
Oh, I'd be Robert Townsend.
Oh, you would be Ducky?
Yeah, I'd be Robert Townsend because I would be the one
writing the music.
And that I wanted to do this. This is what I want to do. I like this. I'm not interested in all.
So you wouldn't be old Eddie Kane, huh?
No.
You would be Ducky, huh?
Yeah. Yep. That's definitely that's it. That's an easy one.
Now see, we want the rest. What you got to say, Caddy? What you got? Any questions, Caddy?
I want to hear the rest of the 5.
Okay, I got to
see Caddy keeping us grounded. Caddy keeping us grounded.
So we got up to the
So you got Temptations,
right? Now as a
group.
Now we're getting into and again bringing it forward a little bit. It's going to be Toto. And see, because I was a horn player, we like the horn band.
You bragging again. I like it. I love it. I love it.
So we were trying to be like I can't think of it.
James Brown?
No. Well, James Brown is
Tower Power.
Where everyone went to. Now Tower Power. Yeah.
Is that in your 5?
Yeah. Tower Power was in my 5. Tower Power was in my 5.
Don't use that just because I said that.
No. It would. I'm glad you brought it because I didn't think about it because Tower Power. We did a show with Tower Power in San Jose.
I love when you start bragging.
Listen, at the Fred Astaire dance studio. Somebody had rented
I don't know if you should brag. You should have said that part.
No. Wait a minute. They just rented the hall.
Right.
Okay, so they were not Tower Power at the time. They used to be called the Motowns.
Really?
Okay. Now, at that time, they had 3 horns. Steve was in there, Doc Kuka, the baritone player, and Mick Gillette, and I can't think of the other guy's name. Okay, so, and then as time went on, once they got the deal, the record, they added the horns, and absolutely. And, everybody was covering, and we used to cover all their songs.
Oh, you did?
Because I had a big group at one time called the Music Complex, and it was a lot of younger guys in the band who loved Tower Power, who loved that. So we covered a lot of that song, because we just all loved the music, and so certainly Tower Power. See, when you talk about, I have to say, my youngest daughter asked me, what was the first concert that I went to? And again, I couldn't answer the question because
I know we fighting you to get to the meat and potatoes.
Because I'm are you talking about the first concert I paid to go to, or because I was at all the concerts because I knew somebody, or I was backstage, or
that's what I'm saying. The backstage.
What was your first concert that gave you that feeling?
Yeah.
And the love for music. So when somebody asks you what's your first concert, what's the first concert that gave you that feeling in your soul to where you was like, I want to be involved in this?
Wow, that's I can't answer it. I'm sorry. The reason being because I didn't start going to concerts until I was adult, and I was also playing music. I was playing music.
So 16, you didn't play music,
but never paid to go see.
So you didn't play music. When did you first start playing music?
Oh no, I was playing in bands.
What age?
And that was I was in grade. 10th going to 11th, I think.
And so your mom didn't let you go to concerts, or you just didn't?
Well, I just wasn't interested. I mean, we were doing our music. That's what we were interested in. None of us did.
So you were more interested
In playing. So we were already playing and doing gigs and in the scene, in the 11th grade or 12th grade.
So what was inspiring you in the 10th grade?
Well, I always liked music. I started out, my mom sang, my dad played harmonica.
Okay.
And I remember him playing about 3 or 4 songs, and I learned how to play those 3 or 4 songs to this day on harmonica. And so one of my brothers sang, and the other one played like upright bass back in the 60s. And so I just was interested in it. So I started out to go to junior high school, where my mom and dad rented me an alto sax. And I learned how to play it. I knew how to finger it and stuff. Then I kind of lost interest in it and went into vocal music, the choir and stuff like that, quartets and stuff like that. Then semester goes by again. Okay. Now I want to get back into instrumental music. Okay, I remember at that time, there was only 1 or 2 instruments available. One was French.
But in the schools at that time, they had music in the schools.
Oh yeah.
They had classes. Absolutely. And they had multiple versions. Now, what was the first song you really felt like you did well with? Like it's certain songs I really love, but I can't hit that kind of note. But what was the first song that you played, that you sang, that you was like, I'm kind of good?
Boy, did I sing? Because see, I didn't start singing.
Look at you, pops. Just give me
until later. No. Listen, it's more. We sounded good when I was a horn player. Because now we're sounding like James Brown. Now we're sounding like this band. Now we're sounding like Chicago, because we're learning these tunes. And so this is when we kind of knew. Like,
but being a tenor, James Brown ain't a tenor.
No. I'm not saying. I'm just talking about playing. Right. Perform. That's when I
what
knew.
Song? So the performance side of it made you feel like you were more of an entertainer.
No. Performance side of me was just it just kind of happened, and it happened during this Tower Power band kind of thing we had. It was like, oh God, I can sing. I'm okay singing.
But what song though? Give us a song. Even if it's somebody else's song.
Oh boy.
It hasn't been one of yours.
No, I'm trying. It was a Tower Power song. So I mean, it had, because we did like 6 of them, so it had to be like.
I can't even think of a Power.
Oh no, was that first album like.
The one with the sign, the Oakland sign on it?
Yeah, with Sparkling in the Sand, that album. And during that time, What Is Hip? And
you know what? I get them. I shouldn't. No disrespect. But I get them and the Average White Band because I used to listen to those 2 albums a lot,
Right. And again, with that said,
what's a popular song they got?
Yeah.
What's a popular song on there?
It was Sparkling in the Sand.
Sparkling in the Sand.
Knock Yourself Out, Social Lubrication.
We did Social Lubrication, but that was the one I liked.
The Skunk, the Goose, and the Fly.
Oh God, this is going back. Yeah.
Back in the Streets Again.
Back in the Streets Again.
Now, which part would you sing on there? Which part?
I was singing. At that time, I sang lead. Lead.
So we're gonna listen to that later, so I can see your because we didn't sing karaoke, and Pops was like, "No, I need a different key." So when you sing karaoke and people explain the key, they can sing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because maybe you can't sing it like the record.
Have you ever been to just regular karaoke?
I have, and that's what I did. I said, I'd ask.
We were at a house doing it.
Well, no, I was at, and I'd ask the DJ, the guy doing karaoke, and I said, what key is this song in? And I think it was a Temptation song, and he said something, and I said, change it to B flat or something, because it was too high. I'm not David Ruffin, I can't.
Well, you Ducky. You Robert Townsend.
Even Ruffin had a time when I know you want to leave. Yeah. There's a whole story behind.
Now
that.
We got auto tunes, and we all can sound like David Ruffin,
right.
or Smokey Robinson.
Right.
Did you feel Smokey? Like, how did you feel about Smokey? Because he had such a distinct sound, and it was generations. It was a couple. He had a long run, Smokey.
I like Smokey. I like a lot of his song. He wasn't because I wasn't into that voice, that type of voice. Right. But the writing, the group itself, because a lot of those songs were just like, oh my God, I mean, he is. I mean, without, I would venture to say if there were no Smokey, there'd be no Motown.
Right.
as it has come to be, because he wrote a lot of that stuff.
But it wouldn't have been no Robert Townsend.
Yeah.
If it wasn't no Robert Townsend, maybe it wouldn't have been no Temptations.
You know. I mean, who knows? Back to Bay Area music. Tower Power is Bay Area. Whispers, we call them Bay Area. The Fabulous Ballads, we call them Bay Area. Joe Tex, I think he was even Bay Area.
Joe Tex is from the Bay?
I believe so, or he was here a lot. Was it Ray Charles, the guy he played with before he went solo?
We didn't mention no female Bay Area people either.
You know what? Like, I'm trying to think of a female Bay Area. I'd have to think about that. Who? Now, what now? There was a group, and we used to play behind these girls. They were called the Sisters 3, and they're from Oakland. The Stovall Sisters, just like the Pointer Sisters, from the Bay Area. And we used to play for them. And I'm sure many people don't know this little tidbit. They sang, there's a song by this guy called Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky. Have you heard the song? Mm-hmm. Spirit in the Sky. Mm-hmm. They sang background on that song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, we were backing them during the time she recorded this, and they recorded this, and we didn't even know until later. Okay. I guess they just kept it under wraps until it was released or something.
Right.
And stuff like that. But, Pointer Sisters, area.
They from the Bay too?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I love
Oakland,
the Pointer Sisters.
church, out of church. Yep, Pointer Sisters.
Did they live in West Oakland or East Oakland?
I want to think they were in East Oakland. And I'm thinking about, I can't think of any other. I know there are some other female singers, but I just, none comes to mind. But during this time, like I was saying, there were the bands, we were here. There was the Vallejo bands, and we kind of all, it was
Did you guys get along back then?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of competition.
Right.
In fact, I remember playing at the Richmond Auditorium. We were against Project Soul Confunction at the time. And they beat us. It was surprisingly because everybody, they really respected us. And I come to find out a lot of this stuff later. I was talking to one of the guys from saxophone player, not the current player with Confunction, but the original. Paul, and Paul Harrell, his name is, and he said, "Yeah, I used to come over to the house to hear you guys practice," and I'm thinking, these are the guys who got the contract and got the records and got all doing the tours and stuff like that.
Now, what's the guy from Confunction that did a lot of the early MC Hammer music?
Oh, that's Felton, and actually his birthday was just yesterday or the day before. Felton Pilot. Now, Felton was in another band. And Michael Cooper got him to come join back in the day. So that's how that happened.
And you still in contact with Coop, right?
Yeah, occasionally. We would online or something. And these guys, they managed to keep it together. And I think in the band now it's 3 original members. But they do all right.
So being that you've seen so much of the music industry and how it's grown and changed, do you feel it's still the same as it was back then? Where your bands would all kind of know each other and stuff, and it's
just it doesn't.
Was there more camaraderie back then?
I think there was more. I don't remember any negative competition. It was always fun stuff. We all just wanted to play.
But you guys would take each other's girls though, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I'm sure that may have happened 1 or 2 times, but I'm not at liberty to.
That's all we need. We just need a little meat and potatoes. We don't want to know who got pregnant and if you got any kids in Richmond. We just want to know, that did happen. Because now let's switch it to your international travels. And how was that when you played somewhere else, like outside of your community? For me, when feeling like I was a big fish in a small town, when I would go places and I was a little scared, but I did it and I did well, it gave me confidence. But when you go somewhere, when you travel outside the country and people embrace you, did you feel different? Did it make you...
Oh, absolutely. My musical travels outside of the country came at a time when I had pretty much changed the type of music I was doing. We had fallen into just kind of doing some more bluesy stuff, bluesy R&B, blues, even slide guitar, Delta, the old stuff, Muddy Water, going way back, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so one of the one of the first, we played a lot of United States festivals. We played Chicago Blues Festival and Monterey. And
so you did the Monterey Jazz Festival?
Monterey, yeah, and Long Beach was very popular, that festival down there, put in by the radio station.
Yeah.
And
I heard that one.
And then we did, we were with Robert Craze. Oh, we did a show, and it was in Canada. It's in Canada.
Okay.
So we did. So this started later, you know. The international travel for us and stuff like that.
But you appreciate it more sometimes.
Right.
When you're older, you appreciate it more. So when you go somewhere, even to a festival, some of before you even perform, just being around other performers over the years, and you see people, and you're like, girl, what's up? Girl, what's up? What you doing? And then people remember you, because when you're in the industry and you're a musician and other parts of this, you meet people you just forget. You know, you forget.
Oh yeah.
You forget, and so people come up and they go, Phil, you remember me? We met in so-and-so.
Right.
Rubber, you don't remember this?
Yeah.
And so you appreciate it more. I felt like for me, I appreciated it more as I got older.
Oh, no.
Because in the moment, you're just doing it.
Oh, no. I remember being in Chicago for that blues festival, and we went from the hotel to the...
And you met that midget.
And I met...
You met that midget.
We rode in the van with
a midget?
No. She was short, but she was.
See, hey,
but
that famous midget story Pops got.
But her name was Maria Muldar.
Okay, you remember her name, but you didn't.
She made this tune, and the one tune that you guys might remember, "Midnight at the Oasis."
Okay, she
That's
did that.
Maria Muldar, and she ended up singing more blues and stuff like that.
That was a popular song.
Yeah,
was that considered disco?
No, it was. Just the
that
song
was a big
at the
song.
Time. It was
so y'all was in the car together.
It was big. Yeah, we were on the same show because she was on that festival too.
Okay.
And so you like you said, you in passing, you know, you meet them this time.
Exactly.
Or there's another blues group that it was called Sapphire. It's 3 women, and they were doing blues and stuff. You know, you meet them here and you meet them there, or you go to Europe and you run into them at a show. I mean, this happens at any level of.
So whenever you hear "Midnight at the Oasis," do you ever drop a little tear or something?
Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt. I know you love you some Bonnie Raitt.
I met Bonnie at Yoshi's in Oakland, the original Yoshi's, and I was there to see. Well, they have these blues legends there. These guys had played with Muddy Waters band and somebody else, Howlin' Wolf's band and stuff like that. And I had gone downstairs.
Name dropping.
Oh yeah. Oh no, these are some serious players.
So my dad passed. He was a huge Bonnie Raitt fan.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And all the blues and everything.
Okay.
So and his name was Phil.
Wow.
Yeah, that connection.
Bonnie. But
he was from Detroit.
Bonnie came in. I had come downstairs up from the dressing room because we were just backstage hanging out. And I noticed, I said, "That's Bonnie Raitt coming in here." First thing, I go there and introduce myself, and Bonnie, I got to get a couple pictures with you. So yeah, I played the fan. That's it. I still got these pictures. Right. But she's such a genuine person, and just a.
She can play the guitar.
And she plays. She's just such a great slide player and singer. Just
shout out Bonnie Raitt.
Bonnie Raitt, and there's a lot of new.
You could have been my mother-in-law.
Yeah. But you know, you run into people.
Right.
You know,
no, you do, and you appreciate artists kind of in that zone. You kind of have a different connection, and you appreciate it more, especially as you get older. Like, because when you young, see in the 90s and early 2000s, you didn't really take a lot of pictures unless you was, you know, on the side of, you know, the magazine or so dealing with something like in radio we did. But just generally when you run into somebody, and there's so many people that had one-hit wonders that you just was like, you saw them at their top, and then you see them on Facebook or Instagram, and you're like, wow.
Well, it's like, you know, and again, going back to, think about Long Beach Festival. I remember Mavis Staples was on that.
Yeah.
Now, you know, and I mean, she was from the Staples Singers, and I mean, I'm going back, like, I was young when the Staples Singers, you know, they were singing gospel at the time.
Before I'll Take You There.
You know,
which some of that was kind of gospel
and
a little bit.
They moved it on over there. So Mavis was, you know, quite a, you know, a legend, and still a legend for, you know, if you talk to Bonnie, you talk to any of these guys.
Oh, definitely.
They're gonna mention Mavis Staples. They're gonna say, yeah, Mavis Staples, and this and that. So it's with the traveling, again, it came as I'm, you know, way into adulthood. And now the first time I went to Germany, I remember playing just an acoustic guitar, and my friend who got me to come over there, who used to play with us here,
Okay.
she had moved over there. So I went over there for a couple of weeks and picked up a couple of gigs, and it's like, and the people loving it. I'm thinking like, I don't think I'm doing that much stuff
Right,
where
right.
you know I'm playing acoustic guitar and singing what I'm doing, and but I noticed, the first thing I noticed, and the response from people, and this is my experience. I'm not saying it doesn't happen here, but over there, the appreciation, it was almost like an appreciation for what you were doing, period.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much of
Yeah.
how
It's not a
good you
stardom thing,
sound
it's
or
just
how you, it's just, they just do that. And it got, and I figured out why some of these blues guys and jazz guys, Dexter Gordon, saxophone player, not Muddy Waters, but some of these people ended up living there, in Europe. Because of that, they were accepted. Whether they were singing jazz or blues or R&B, it was just a whole. And to me, it's still like that over there.
Right.
It's still like that.
I agree, because when we go to Romania, because that's where my fiance is from.
Oh, okay.
It's just the fact that you're giving yourself out there,
Right.
that you're sharing yourself. It's an art thing. It's not just
Right.
not just what you're doing. It's just that you're sharing it. That's their kind of
Right. I mean,
whole
you
thing.
could, exactly. It could be me, and then it could be, Prince. But it's just sort of like kind of the same thing. Yeah, Prince has got the records and he's got da. But we're just on the same show doing the same thing for the same
And we're all
audience.
musicians.
Right, and yeah, and don't get me wrong, you got the people who are, they don't want to be around you because they're up here and they got 6 bodyguards and all of this stuff. But that's the one thing I like about the art. As I've gotten older, it's like, nobody cares about that stuff. In Berlin, I've told you the story. In Berlin, we were over there, and I happened to be playing at this club, and who comes in the club? John Goodman, the actor. And he and Matt Damon and Kate Blanchett, they were filming this movie in Germany called Monuments Men. And okay, so I got a chance, and we invited, Claudia invited him to sit down at the table. We had a big table there. And so we hung out, got to know him, started talking about this and talking about that. And I told a guy, another friend of mine who's a musician who works at the studio, I said, look, tell John if he just wants to hang out, we can get together. And we must have hung out three or four times over there. And this is the type of thing, like going back to what you said, you just, because you were there,
Yeah.
you met the guy.
100%.
And I'm still in touch with the guy. I mean, we're not chatting every day or
No,
nothing
but
like
that's
that,
but see
but
that
the contact is
but
still
that's
there.
the thing about industry
Right.
friends. Like sometimes people that don't have that,
Right.
they don't realize like, won't you just call so and so?
Right.
And it's not like that. You don't want to abuse your relationships. You don't
Right,
want to.
right.
You don't want to do that. And so it's a time, but I mean, most of the time, and then you got to think about some of these people are thrust into these situations where they have a hit record or two, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
As whereas with blues and other, it's a working kind of thing. And so, shout out to Bonnie Raitt
There's
again.
more musical aspects of it.
Yeah.
With bands and with blues and with music than it is with just like the one-hit wonders.
Yeah, there's
in art and like the rap industry.
absolutely. There's a guy over in Berlin right now, or I think he played last night. His name is Christoph. He's a big guy, black guy, plays guitar.
I like
It's
that
blues
name.
guitar.
I like that name. Christoph.
Kingfish.
Kingfish, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
a
over
bad
there.
boy.
And he's, I'm looking at it, I say, man, yeah. I've been following him. I say,
Yeah. I've been following him for a long time, too.
a friend of mine, Chris Kane, who plays guitar, another Bay Area guy.
Right.
Blues guy, and these there's phenomenal musicians who have come out of the Bay Area, but some of these younger guys are carrying on that,
and he's one of them.
and he's one of them. Gary Clark Jr. was supposed to be the kind of that he was carrying. He's still carrying, but he's back. He's back a little bit different depending on the music. He's not all blues, but Christoph,
He's got a lot of rock to him.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of.
yeah, he's like what's his name? Lenny Kravitz kind of guy.
Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And so, there's so many
see that.
people, so many musicians came out of the Bay Area. I think just a great show idea would be to talk about those musicians that, not the Whispers, but the guy who played for the Whispers. Because
Right.
then you find out that, that was so and so on drums. Oh, he played for the Pointer Sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, he played for Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
You know,
the acts behind the acts.
yeah, and especially local, because this is the guy who lives next door to you. You know, this is the guy who lives down the street, or is somebody's, stuff like that. And we've heard about the Motown, the Funk Brothers.
Right.
It's a similar thing, or the what's the other the ones played for the Beach Boys, the Wrecking Crew. That was all those guys. And they played behind all of these.
Now, Pops. So he gave us his top 5.
Almost.
Did I
So
need
you
one
gave
more?
us 4.
One more.
One more.
Oh, boy, let's see.
No female act.
No. Let me.
Oh, I should say that because
No. I'll tell you what. No, I will take that fourth one because I really like and appreciate the Whispers. Local harmonies. I can see now. I remember going to the Sportsman's Club and seeing these guys doing routine. I still have that picture in my mind because this guy and their harmonies were, and this is before they got with Dick Griffey
right?
and the late
Which
solo
polished
label.
them up.
And,
yeah.
This was before what's his name got in producing? What was one of the
Silvers?
Before he got.
Leon
Oh
Silvers.
yeah.
So look, you gave us the Whispers, Temptations, Confunction, and Toto.
Yeah. That's
it.
I mean,
so if you was on the island, with Bonnie Raitt.
The
Isley Brothers. So you got 6. So if you was on the island, with Bonnie Raitt, you would listen to those 6 albums for the rest of your life.
I'd be good with that. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, there's enough
Shout
stuff,
out Bonnie Raitt.
But you got enough stuff going on there now, and keep in mind, you don't know who else or who's on those albums that you really like. That's the thing I like about what we're able to do now, and a lot of podcasts and a lot of people who have the interviews with the person who knows the person. Because now you're starting to see Brecker Brothers. I've seen that name on a lot of stuff. Or Michael McDonald. They just think he's with the Doobie. And you got to keep it's all relative too, because I remember going to see, there was a place in San Carlos.
People don't look at the albums no more to see what's on the back of them, to see who played with. Who was playing? Who's doing backup here on Diana Ross album? Who's doing this one? That?
And it's all relative to the times. Like you take a timeless group like the Temptations, because they've been here from there and they just still kicking it. Now you might go to a Temptations concert in 1978 and then get a new girlfriend and go in 1988. Is another Temptation. So her view of the Temptations is that. I remember doing that. But
when I worked at Walmart up in Red Bluff, one of the guys who works in the loading was one of the Drifters.
Oh, yeah.
And so every Christmas they would perform up there. They'd come in this big old Cadillac and they drive and they would perform. Like you said, you don't know who's next door to you.
Right. And see, that's the thing. Even you guys, I know you know some of the people behind some of the people, and even some of the people who were ascended to this level were behind somebody back in the day. Or at some, it made me think about a concert. I mean, I was thinking about, I had written down some venues that I played back in the day, and that were prominent places. Winterland, Fillmore West, Bimbo's 365 San Francisco, Dragon A Go-Go. Back in the day. Like I said, those places in Oakland that showcased and such like that. I remember playing Winterland once, and what happened? We were back in
you played Winterland.
We were back in a singing group called were they the Young Hearts or something like that? I think it was the Young Hearts, and they weren't headliners. We were just supporting. And Gene Chandler was the headliner, who Duke of Earl.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Jackie Lee is the guy who had a couple of hits, and it was one. I think he had a song called "Do the Duck." The band didn't show up. Gene Chandler's house band didn't show up. Shoot, he's not happy about this. And we ended up being the house band playing for him.
And you knew his songs?
No, he had his music, and half of us read music. At the time, I was playing horns, we the horn players read music, but the bass player didn't read, and the guitar player didn't read. But I also knew how to play guitar. So
bragging again, Pops. He's bragging again.
Well, needless to say,
shout out Bonnie Raitt.
Needless to say, we got through it. But believe me, you know, it was a little rough working with Duke of Earl here.
Not to be, and I want the listeners to hear this, that like I've been in situations that changed my life in terms of just performing and got nothing or $50 or $100.
Right.
And I say that to say that sometimes the things that I've made a lot of money on really wasn't nothing. It was just a good deal.
Right.
And so situations like that, when you tell us, how much you think you got paid for that?
At that, back in the day, I have to wonder if we made. I have to wonder if we made $100 each.
See,
and I don't even know. And I'm thinking I'm being.
But see, we need people.
But you got paid more in the memories of it.
Yeah,
because it's right there.
I mean, they wouldn't have to pay me anything for that.
Yeah.
I mean, just like being on.
Just to be there.
Oh yeah, and my the shows that I did, like Chicago Blues and all, we were with another legend blues guy. We were backing him, and this guy was named Brownie McGee.
Okay.
And Brownie McGee and Sonny Terry were a harmonica duo blues from way back.
I know you throwing them names out.
Well,
you throwing them names out. We're gonna do our homework after that.
I listen to Bluesville on Sirius XM all the time, so everything he's saying I already know.
Brownie came out of retirement. Brownie lived in Oakland. Brownie came out of retirement to help us. We had this band. We used to all play it in the R&B and funk bands.
Right.
And then time goes on, and somebody said, we ought to play some blues. And okay, so we got acoustic guitars and started doing it. And we kind of grew this, and it became the Elmer Lee Thomas Blues Review. Now, Elmer Lee was a guitar player who we played together, and he his name is Maurice, but he took his mother's name, Elmer Lee Thomas. Okay, and call it that. I said, okay, cool. So we're doing the blues stuff and Delta and slide and 12-string guitar, and it was kind of happening in the 89, 90, 91. This guy Kev Moe came out. A few of the other acoustic players were.
Shepard came out.
Yeah. In fact, I was on his tour bus once. I never forget. In San Francisco, they were here because the guy from Holland.
We gonna get a groupie story being in a tour bus.
Me and Claudia went in.
Oh,
that's
there
all
you go. There you
That's
go.
all you go.
Shout out Claudia. Shout out Claudia. And Bonnie Raitt.
Wayne Shepard was running that.
Oh yeah. And so it's just amazing. Once you start digging in, and if you can't. The U.S. is we have put out so much to the world: music, style, everything else. Whether it's jazz, whether it's rap, whether it's blues, and all of the British groups, all of the guys over there, they were simply trying to sound like Muddy Waters, trying to sound like Howlin' Wolf, and then by doing that, they developed their own sound.
Rolling Stone's biggest praise is they was just trying to sound like Muddy Waters.
Yardbirds, Clapton. And people think Clapton is the greatest thing. He does. I've been on those shows where these legends have been there, like Bobby Bland and gosh, it is like, and and everybody's got somebody. I remember that they look up to. I remember at Yoshi's once, the Hammond organ player, Jimmy Smith. I met him down there, and somehow we started talking, and he says, long story short, he said, well, you know where I got my shit from. And I'm thinking, you are the shit. Well, I mean,
Look at you hitting us with a jewel.
No.
He hitting us with a jewel right now.
But everybody's got somebody.
Everybody
has looked up to somebody. And this guy Jimmy was at least 60 at 61, 62 at that time. And I'm thinking, because all I'd ever heard of with the Hammond organ jazz is Jimmy Smith or Jimmy McGriff or some of these other guys. Right. But Jimmy Smith was the name. If you ask anybody, it's going to come up Jimmy Smith. And I said, gosh. And he said, you know where I got my stuff from. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You are the stuff. it comes from you.
Wasn't Jimmy Smith just didn't he do Buddy Guy's Blues at his place in February?
Oh no, he's passed away.
No, like a few years back.
He probably did. He did. He did some recording with Keb Mo, Taj Mahal, and now I'm getting my blues stuff. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
of.
And see all of this stuff. It's one thing. One thing I want to go back to the Bay Area stuff early, and some of the groups that we backed up at the time. And many bands like Confunction, Project Soul at the time, we would back groups out of the Hartfield Brothers, a group. We played for a band called group called the Crescendos, just local vocal group out of Berkeley. I did play for, and I think we were probably their first band is the Natural Four.
The Natural Four.
Natural Four.
That sounds like a 80s rap group from the Bronx.
No, Natural Four. We had a couple of local hits in the Bay Area, and then they signed with Curtis Mayfield's label, and they had a tune called, and you can look this tune. One comes to mind is "Could This Be Real?" This was one of their band. And so you played, we played for everybody, and not you could play for this band or this group or play for this group or And
now, did you get many pictures from that generation?
You know what? I think about pictures from now because I remember.
You ain't got no pictures for us to use when we put up the podcast?
I'm going to have to go way back. I'm going to have to dig because I remember I was thinking about this not too long ago. I said, man, we were a band. We named our band The Syndicate, but we spelled it with a C. Different. Okay. And I remember one of our outfits were purple pinstripe suits with Edwardian big lapels. And we went in front of a bank with empty violin case like a bunch of gangsters to take the pictures. And I'm looking for those pictures. Oh. I mean, come on.
And I seen one picture with you with an afro on some steps or something.
Ooh.
You were standing on some steps. She had an afro.
Oh, man, that was...
And I think he had like a sax in his hand. Yeah. And a midget was leaning against his leg a little bit.
And that was that $40,000 Telecaster that I got rid of. You got guitar.
Now Pop's reminiscing.
I know.
Pop's reminiscing right now.
Yeah, like I said, we have to do this again. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to because and again, like I said,
we can give you a monthly show.
Going
once a month.
Going back to just the Bay Area from '60s, '70s. And when I say Bay Area, I'm talking about Marin County, San Francisco, Richmond, Vallejo, Oakland, and keep in mind now we're all also talking about where military bases were. Now I say that because military bases were extremely important to musicians,
right?
Because we went from Travis NCO Club to Mather NCO Club to Beale Air Force Base to Oakland Oak Knoll Naval Center, Oakland Army Base, Presidio, Alameda. There was an Air Force, McClellan. Oh, God. And so it kept the bands busy.
Because I remember you saying you came up here.
Totally different. I mean, you could work in the military bases.
Right.
And, I mean, we kept a couple of dollars in our pocket because we played Wednesday night. We got $40 in our pocket at school the next day,
Right. And now they won't even give them food stamps.
So when the bases close, I mean, you got because that's the thing. You got to have somewhere to play. You got to practice to hone your skill in terms of being in front of an audience and working the club and working the audience and sounding good as a cohesive unit as a band. And you talk about a band and you hear terms like in the pocket, they're tight. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to such a point where you can look over as a guitar player, I can look over at the bass player, and we instinctively will play the same riff, because it's just, and that's how it was. That's how it was with Project Soul. That's how it was with the Syndicate and any of the other bands.
Now, let me ask you a question. All three of us are musical people. It's very much part of all three of our lives. A lot of people that aren't musical, like the three of us, they only listen to music from a certain generation.
Right.
You know, maybe straight out of high school,
Right.
maybe the first 5 years when you met your wife or your husband. All of us, it seems collectively, we love different kinds of music and just music. And the question is, how do you feel about current music? And do you listen to any current music within the last 10 years? Just say within the last 10 years, what do you listen to generally on the radios, whatever version of where you listen to music at?
Okay. First of all, you got to look at my age and what I've experienced in the changes, not only in technology, but musically changes.
Right.
So I'm coming out of when I started playing the kind of the rock and roll, Jerry Lee Lewis kind of stuff. But now we're Chuck Berry-ish. Now, but by the time we're playing, we're searching out James Brown. We're trying to play this stuff and all of this stuff. So I've gone through that. Now, even if that now harder funk is coming in, now we got bands, self-contained bands with singers and horns and Earth, Wind and Fire-ish type stuff and stuff like that. So I've come through that. Okay, now keep in mind now disco slipped in there for a couple.
You ain't gonna just give me no answer.
No.
You ain't gonna just give me no answer.
There's no short answer.
No,
it's no short answer.
You have to understand the context of what's going on because you go through all these things, and now I get to the point. I'll bring it up to the point where now we've got Grandmaster Flash. Hip hop's coming in now, now we've got to deal with this because this is not from a musician standpoint.
Because they're sampling your music.
It's even with disco we had to deal with it because what happened was places started pulling out their stage and putting it to DJs.
Yeah.
So DJs were starting with disco.
Yeah.
So we were like, I had an idea at one point to even say, "What man? Maybe we could spin records." Have for 2 sets, and then we could play for 2 sets or something because we were trying to deal with it.
Because it changed.
Because you could play
it changed up.
Yeah,
and it changed up a couple more times since then.
Okay, now we're up to hip hop and rap. This is totally game changing, too. I mean, in all respects of how you're getting paid. You can't use my music to do this, and all that stuff. So, okay, there was when that happened. Certain music I did like. I did like originally the Grandmaster Flash and Curtis Blow and stuff like that.
Right.
Got to some point, even with Run DMC, I was having a hard time comprehending what this was all about. I mean, I'm watching this dude walk across the stage back and forth with his hands folded, and I wasn't getting it. I just wasn't getting it. Okay, then as time. And there are certainly things that, I wasn't into, the heavy duty, the profanity and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. There were songs that I did like. Okay. And that's like in any music as far as that goes. I try to tell that to other people musicians in my age group say, "Oh, no, I don't like rap." I say, you got to understand.
And you've had family members,
you got
sons and grandsons that play music, and you might not necessarily like what they produce.
Right, and that's okay because I didn't like everything that everybody else was doing back in the day either. There was plenty of songs by groups that I just.
So currently, would you listen to a Jay-Z song? Would you listen to a KRS-One song? Would you listen to a J. Cole?
You know what?
Mac Dre.
I think currently I'm probably not. I'm just not well versed on what's out there now. Now some of the music, it's just like it's not
for
moving.
hip-hop and rap.
It's not moving now.
It's just not,
I do now. There are groups, hip hop groups, rap groups, certainly that I like. From the what's the guy from the guy from. Oh God, I can't think of his name.
That just passed away. D'Angelo just passed away.
The guy got shot in his eye. Bushwhack.
Oh, okay. Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys.
What song? Mind playing tricks on you?
I remember when that song came out, and it was just something about it. It's like, yeah.
Okay, so you will put that. So mind playing tricks on you.
But see, you when you're talking to me, I may not be able to honestly come across in short answers because even when the Beatles came out, I think I was in the 8th grade or something like that. I like the Beatles. I like what they were doing. I like a lot of the stuff, the rock groups, and because a lot of times people will fall into just what they like, and that's all. That's all they listen to and stuff like that. Now, even to this day, I listen to, because my background is symphonic and classical, because I played French horn and orchestra. But I'm not.
You didn't said about 6 or 7 instruments.
I wasn't playing jazz, a lot of jazz. I mean, smooth jazz, okay, but I don't think that way. I like, to this day, if you ask me what's one of my 2 favorite, I should say, music, it would be funk.
It would be fun. Okay, so you like everybody. And then I know you really appreciate what George Clinton, because he works with all the young people.
Oh, yeah.
He works with, and he still tours.
Well, see, the young people, let me turn that around. The young people had good enough sense to work with George Clinton. Because, see, we laid the groundwork for
100%.
this stuff.
100%.
Let me tell you. And like I said, and sometimes but I came to getting back to the appreciate hip hop and rap and how it was constructed. And see, once you sit down a minute and you get beyond your bias because you're a musician or because you're older and stuff like that, and you look at it and you say, Jesus Christ, this, and you listen to what's going on. And I mean, some of it's quite simple. It's a straight beat, rap on top of it, that's okay. But then when you get into some of the other stuff where you got 15, 16 different samples in there and everything is right on cue and it's right, I mean, that's like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah.
With one eye.
That's production. Yeah.
To do that. So I got to a point to appreciate that, to understand that. So you will never hear me in a conversation say, well, I hate, like some of my other colleagues.
Most definitely. Yeah.
I will say, oh no, I just don't like that. And there may be a song I don't like or this style I don't like. But on the other hand, I say, yeah, I'm not against it.
So that's your answer.
Well, and I'm not against it. Just
so
like,
that's your answer.
Wait a minute. Just like,
you ain't gonna give me no answer.
No, what's just like Quincy Jones? What if he would have been that way? As being a producer, what if he said, "Oh man, I ain't doing this." But this guy come out of this guy comes out
next to it.
Out of Count Basie,
just hold it, yeah.
Out of these big bands.
My last question.
The Count Basie and all this stuff, and he's playing with Michael Jackson, doing Michael Jackson stuff.
So my last question.
Yeah.
Caddy got a question. My last question. How do you feel about? How do you feel about the art form that Africans born into America had created, and to see it evolve, and it's beautiful. And then, of course, the early generations, you hear about Pat Boone taking Little Richard songs and all this other stuff. Yeah. But when white acts create their own version of what blues was, R&B, soul is, and they make it really, really good, and you being a musician, how did you feel about it? And acts like this, right? This is the Jets. This was my generation. They Polynesian. I
love the Jets.
I love the Jets. You know what? I used to love the one that sung. It was 2 of them that used to sing. I used to love them little girls.
The youngest girl.
Yeah. And then acts like this right here. Like acts like even in the 80s, Hall & Oates.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how did you feel about people like I guess you wonder, all those kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
How did you feel about Bobby Call and all those acts? Simply Red. I mean, you could go on and on and on.
But it goes back to that same question, that same answer of the people in Britain. They were trying to be. Everybody was emulating rock and roll, trying to sound like Sam Cooke, trying to sound.
Who's
like
your favorite of that genre that's done it well? Of white soul or whatever. I don't even know if we can call it a
white soul.
Well, I mean,
white chocolate. We might use it.
What? Probably what comes to mind, and from a purely a musician standpoint, it's probably going to be AWB.
Average White Band.
When they came out, you knew that was a black band.
Oh, you thought you just knew it. Schoolboy Crush.
And what if they want you? If you interview them, you're going to hear the same thing I'm telling you. We were trying to sound like, and Tower Power will say the same thing. All them guys will say the same thing.
Now, what is Tower Power? Is that a mixed group? Is that a mix? Is it all black or is it a mix?
No. The only black person. No, it's 2 black. The keyboard player now and the singer. I think the new singer is a young white guy.
So Tower Power,
but they have been
when they started.
But they have been mixed. They have been mixed.
Right. Yeah. Even for me, and that genres have changed, have crossed so much. I remember the Doobie Brothers.
Oh yeah.
And I remember listening to songs, and someone told me that Doobie mean a joint at the time,
right?
And I was like, ooh, and I saw
That's what it was.
And I saw a black guy in the group, but the soulful guy was white. You know what I mean? I think he's a drummer or something. The black guy that was in it. I don't know what.
Oh, the drummer.
Yeah, I think
he was a. Oh no! Wait a minute.
But it's a black guy in the Doobie Brothers originally. And then
he was a bass player.
Oh, okay.
Sky,
and then you listen
Sky,
to
his name was.
You
Sky.
listen to the Eagles
Skyler.
and all these groups,
right.
Toto included, and all those groups.
Right.
You go, man. And not to say they were trying to emulate that culture, but it was so much crossing of musical genres and those.
But like I said, the story of Jimmy Smith, everybody has got some. They're trying to, and don't get me wrong, they're trying to get their own sound, but they're trying to get there. They've got to sound like pretty much somebody else, whether they're admitted or not, because we hear, and that's how we learn. How is Jeff Porcaro with Toto play them beats like, he's in James Brown's band, because he's been listening to what's his name with James Brown's band. How does, We're
going to leave it with you, Caddy. What you got to say?
Like Grandmaster Cass said, hip-hop didn't invent anything. It reinvented everything.
That is a good way of putting it. That is excellent. It did. And it goes around. Now, you wonder where it's going since we've had these years of development.
And me and Caddy have talked about this on the podcast, that this is the first time hip hop hasn't been in the top 25 or 50 on Billboard.
Right.
And
for a long time.
For a long time. And so every generation will say, oh boy, that music ain't good, or this music ain't quality, but everything, changes and evolves, and it just makes you wonder, because even how you produce a song is different now than, because they don't want to hear no long intro no more. Remember, it used to be songs on the radio.
The radio stations dictated how the song could be just about.
So now you want hits, you want clicks.
3 minutes or two, and even the designing of a song, period, from a writer's standpoint, it was like, you had a verse. It was verse 1, verse 2. You might go to another part, but otherwise you're going to a break, the hook, and stuff like that.
Different bridges,
and that's kind of it.
And it's not even that no more.
These kinds of discussions, certain people will appreciate them. Also, I was thinking about what you just said, is that as time goes on, people get older. I didn't like it when people in my age group, when they sort of morphed into listening to smooth jazz, Kenny G, and I said, I can't handle this. I'm still like
number one selling
to this
jazz.
day. I still, let me hear "Fight the Power." Let me hear, "Voyage to Atlantis." Let me hear
In Between the Sheets.
Even Chic. Even Chic. Even though they came through the disco era and survived it and became
quality albums.
And then Nigel, what's his name? The guitar player. He comes up producing everybody from Madonna to Niles Rodgers, producing Madonna. David Bowie.
He did Let's Dance.
He did, Diana Ross.
Upside Down, all that.
All that stuff. There's a PBS, the one they do where they have the shows.
The NPR?
Yeah, the NPR.
Yeah.
He goes through all these songs that he's done for everybody. And I said, man, this guy. But I think he was lucky. He was in the right place at the right time. He's just a driving, good rhythm guitar player. You ever heard him solo? Have you ever heard him play Stretch Out and... No, never.
Even when he's with newer people, I think he did something with Daft Punk.
Yeah.
And it was still that sound.
Yeah, it was still that sound.
I think he did something with Scarface too.
Yeah. He's
it's still
done
that.
so much. And he is a guitar, to me, he's a top-notch rhythm guitar player. And that's what it was. And that's what made that music work. And a lot of music, David Bowie, Diana Ross, like we said. So, but I was saying, as people age too, I have to ask you questions, because you were at a different age at a different time when something was going on. Okay, where are you with what you
just said the other day? You couldn't listen to, what was the Tupac song, The Same, anymore because you're not in that same kind of.
Just maybe that mindset.
No, I felt like, okay, say I'm living in suburbia, and I'm in my backyard, and I'm working on my tiny house, and I'm looking at my neighbors. Nobody else look like me. And one of my favorite albums is Death Certificate by Ice Cube, and he talks about Black Koreans. He talks. It was a time in Southern Cal,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and he says things, and I love that album. I love the whole completeness of it. But I feel like out of kind of respect, because when I'm in my backyard, this is my halo. This is me, right? This is my compound. And at the same time, I feel like out of respect, if in my car it's fine, but because everybody has to hear it, even though it's big and it's far, I don't know if I don't want to disrespect nobody by playing certain songs or. And so sometimes I will just put the clean versions of whatever I'm listening to. And depending on my kids, because I have older kids and younger kids.
Right.
So I just feel like, but if I put on Johnny Guitar Watson's classic and then, you know, ta ta baby. But then if I put on Ain't That a Bitch?
Right.
Dun, dun, and we used to laugh as a kids. We was like, oh, they playing that.
How did they get away with that?
Yeah, and so I just feel like certain stuff, if it's too much cussing, and then I feel like for me, as I get older, Pops, because I'm so enmeshed in music and different kinds, I'm in the mood to listen to something when I'm going to drop my kids off.
Right.
I'm in the mood when I want to be hype. I'm in the mood, you know what I mean? It's different versions of that. And so... So I love Scarface. I love all that, but you know, I might be sitting there and I'm listening to I Shed So Many Tears and I'm into it, and my daughter be like, Dad, I counted 12 cuss words so far. You know what I mean? And
you got to respond to it, you know.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it's legit. She's saying, hey.
Or one of my sons told me too, yeah, Dad, your generation, they were kind of angry. Like everything is just real angry. Like our generation ain't angry. We just want to perk. We just want to kick it. Yeah.
See, now that anger type thing, it went back to also the 70s when all that during that protest era and late 60s and stuff like that. And that
they don't have that. They don't have that same.
We're somewhere else now, and I'm not quite sure where we are with the music.
I think it's still evolving. It will always evolve.
I think it will
I don't know if we're gonna get a new.
It's never gonna stop evolving. But
I think it's easier to be successful without what people went through. I remember. I was with. I don't know if you remember this guy Charles Brown. He was
Take a bunch,
guy. Charles Brown.
And then this side too.
Charles Brown. He was an old blues guy, and he wrote the song "Merry Christmas, Baby."
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Charles
Brown.
Thing.
Well, I was on a show. We did a show with him once, and go ahead.
No, you can keep going. We're recording.
He had and he asked me once. He said, he says, "Is Brownie getting his royalties?" And I said, oh, "Wow," because them cats, Charles Leonard Chess, all them companies was ripping these guys off, putting their names on the records and
putting their kids' name on the record.
Yeah, all that stuff, and they just did that. And it was Bonnie Raitt.
Because that song sells every
year. It's just like
it's in every movie.
It's like Mariah Carey's song every year. Somebody, the check's coming out 3 months later. But Brownie. And these record companies would, because we spent a lot of time with him and got into his business and stuff. And he said, a lot of these people, they'd say, "Oh yeah, we've been trying to reach Brownie for a couple of years. We've had this check." Yeah, right. This kind of stuff. But that's the way it was.
Shout out Brownie.
That's just the way.
He still living?
No, he passed away in the late 90s. He did. But we learned a lot, and that was an experience to work with him because I didn't know. I knew he was a blues guy, and I'd see his name on the posters all the way to Winterland and Fillmore and on the show with this guy and this guy. I said, wow. And then once I got into it, started digging into his music, I said, oh my God. I mean, even his brother played and had hit records back in the day.
But just think, like, you could eat,
Yeah.
Even if your song, even if you got a couple $100,000 every year, I mean, people are not making that kind of money.
On the other hand, it is easier to make money because there's so many people who don't rely at all on radio I mean, can you even get played on radio other than college radio?
Well, you got to pay for it. It's just payola. It's just different now. It's
you
still and it's just and see, years ago, different entities owned radio stations. So now there's so many. Right. It's like one or two people that own most of them now. It's not a lot of mom and pops.
Jeez. Yeah.
And so that's all controlled. You know, everything, and it's apps, and it's so many different levels.
Oh yeah, and so, so for the music, my overall thing, if you were to ask me what is your favorite music, I would honestly say it would have to be funk.
All right, we're gonna leave it. No, we're gonna leave it on funk.
That I will go back to regardless of what I'm listening to today. So at some point, Parliament's gonna come up.
No, so we're gonna leave it on funk.
Yep.
You got top 6 artists.
Oh, you got that.
Yeah. We got Toto.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Tower Power.
Temptations.
Isley Brothers.
Isley Brothers.
Was it Parliament? Whispers.
We
took the one from home.
And then next time we interview Papa Hall, he gonna tell us about what happened in that limo with old girl from that song. He gonna tell us about that. He gonna tell us about that picture that he had, that afro and that fit when they went to
that wasn't the silk suit, was it?
Yeah. He gonna tell us about that.
I can find those suits.
Yeah, he gonna fight us about that. And so you still playing at all? Because right now we just give a shout out. So you playing?
Right.
Or you open the plan? Or will you do bar mitzvahs? Will you do private parties?
I have not been actively playing, but I actively play. I practice all the time. I'm writing. I still write. I've never stopped any of that.
Okay, yeah, that's a musician.
But I haven't. But yeah, I mean, and many of us
reach out to us if y'all want Pops to play. It's all good. Just hit us up. We're gonna let you know all the information.
Acoustic,
Pops gonna find us. He gonna find us an old picture, and we gonna put it up when we put this up. Y'all appreciate y'all.
I will
for listening to us. Appreciate you for coming.
Thanks for having me. It was good.
One love.
Fun.
We out.